Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back. Today's VOD review, we will be doing 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest. This is week 4, day 1 of the LCS Spring Split. Cool, so let's just get right into it. So we will be talking about the draft right now. I like to talk about the draft for a while, and a lot of people were unhappy about the Sylas first pick. I'm also unhappy about the Sylas first pick, but I'll tell you for different reasons that they talked about on the broadcast. But I'll talk about it now. I'm actually pretty satisfied with both drafts. Both drafts definitely have some clear win conditions and are very winnable drafts. Going into the game, if this wasn't... Going into this game, I'd take either draft, honestly, if I was the coach, and would be happy with them. The Sylas first pick definitely pigeonholed 100 Thieves, though, and I'll tell you exactly why. One, when you pick Sylas first pick, in this specific matchup of 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest, this is 100% obviously not going to Huhi. Like this is, so you're blind picking this top, so so as FlyQuest you know this is top, so you know you're blind picking this top, and so when you pick Sylas as a top laner, you want him to be able to succeed in the side lane, as well as so you want him to succeed in the side lane, and as well as he can scale and have some good impact in the late game team fights, and can have some good like flank initiations based off of the enemy team's ultimate. So based off the ultimate stuff, he's not very good as a first pick, but that's not really what I want to talk about. That's what they talked a lot about on the desk. But he's a pick that's been really figured out if you watch LCK a lot, is if you pick Sylas as a top laner, he has a bunch of really bad matchups if the enemy team comp can pick for a 4-1 type of matchup and can pick a poke style comp, which is immediately what FlyQuest lock in. And that's why we see these split push bans at the bottom right here. But when you're playing against FlyQuest, you're also playing against Viper, so Viper can pull out the Riven. So I think this was a really bad first pick for 100 Thieves, specifically because you know this is 100% going to Ssumday. There's no way in hell this is going to Huhi. And FlyQuest just responds with, all right, we'll pick the best bot laner. And we'll pick a poke champion. So they immediately have... probably the two best poke champions on this patch, or in the game, essentially. So they have the two poke champions, and then can set up for a really decent split push and a wraparound flank champions that FlyQuest is basically known for at this point. So, anyways, for that point, that's why the Sylas pick was really bad first pick, not because of like, no, you won't know what ultimate you'll steal, and you don't know what's going on there. It's he wants to succeed in the side lane if he's going to be picked in the top lane. And FlyQuest immediately just pick a poke, a poke disengage comp, right? They have a lot of poke and disengage, so that the Riven can succeed in the side lane. So you're pigeonholing yourself into the Sylas having the 1v1 the Riven, and he's never gonna win that matchup. So that does kind of suck there. But they do make it up with some other things that they do in the drafts, and we'll go through that in just a minute. But I did just want to talk about that first pick there. And that's why you see the Jace and the Fiora ban right here. Because 100 Thieves kind of did have that in mind, because Sylas has a really bad matchup into Fiora and Jace as the game goes on. So 100 Thieves did have that in mind, but I still don't think it was a good idea first picking him, because it just kind of pigeonholes you into FlyQuest can literally pick a poke disengage comp with a side laner that's going to beat you. So that's I didn't like that. But anyways, let's just talk about the rest of the team comps, because I actually do like 100 Thieves team comp that they came out with. But I like FlyQuest team comp a little bit better just based off of the matchup. But they both have win conditions, and they both can actually win this game. So I do really like what both teams came away with this. All right, so let's look at what 100 Thieves have. So we have the Tahm, Kench, Ashe bottom lane, the Aurelion Sol mid lane, which I think he's pretty good on this patch, and I can explain why, and the Jarvan for jungle, and obviously the Sylas top. Cool. So, just base, I like to talk about priority in the early game because it's actually super important, as we all should know by now, lane priority. So, Sylas actually can actually trade pretty well in sort of the Riven in the early stages of the game. As soon as Riven gets her 2 CDR items, so when you call Field's Warhammer and either the CDR boots if she wants to do that, or just the Kindle Gem, then she starts to win out on those trades. So Sylas can actually get early lane priority. Jarvan comes online literally at level 2, so can have a lot of things he can do in the early game. The Ashe Tahm Kench will definitely have priority in the bottom lane. Ashe has priority in most lanes that she has. So that's going to be really good for them. And the Aurelion Sol kind of has control over the lane as well for the first couple of levels until Zoe starts to get some items and can have some kill threat. So they have that going for them. So they can have a whole lot of bot river control with this comp because they obviously have the Aurelion Sol, and they can have full control of the bottom lane with Tahm, Kench, and Ashe and feel really safe around that bottom lane. So they can look to have a lot of bot river control and can have early dragon control, which is really, really important on this patch. So I do really like that for this. So they actually have a snowball comp. So what they want to do with this comp is basically in the early stages of the game is protect bottom lane, try to make plays around bot if they can. If you can't, that's okay, because we're getting plates with this team, right? This Ashe is going to push in this Ezreal, and we're going to get plates. I know you're used to seeing Ezreal getting plates, but that's because he's playing into bot laners that aren't Ashe. But Ashe gets priority, so they want Ashe to get plates. J4 to set up her to be able to do that. J4 can look to split the map around bottom side, get the early Drakes. Can transition that control around the top side of the map and try to get a Rift Herald if they want. It would be a little bit more difficult to do that, but can try to get control over the Rift Herald. But Sylas will start to lose that matchup around the level 6 timing, so can just look to split the map bottom side, get Ashe to get the plates around bottom, look for a map swap or look for a lane swap, get Rift Herald on the top side, like transition their control around top side, then get Rift Herald, take the tower up there, have the Ashe, Tahm, Kench mid for lane control, and then look for side laning with the Sylas. Look for side lane for the Sylas to just kind of like maintain collecting waves, and can look for roams with Huhi, and then can snowball that lead and just try to end the game before FlyQuest comp really comes online. So they want to look to snowball the game, and Ashe can definitely do that. So the Ashe, Tahm, Kench, and Jarvan and Aurelion Sol can kind of do that. But FlyQuest team comp kind of cucks that strategy a little bit. That's why 100 Thieves have to snowball really well. But 100 Thieves does have a win condition, but it's definitely a snowball win condition, which is harder to execute than what FlyQuest have coming up. So that's why it's a little bit harder for them to do. And that's why the Sylas pick was really not so good, because their team comp kind of relies on them snowballing and then the Sylas being able to side lane effectively. And if the Sylas isn't able, if they don't snowball hard enough, then they have to just immediately team fight, because the Sylas can't side lane. So they have to immediately mid-game team fight, because they'll just get outscaled by this team comp. Because the Sylas can't side lane versus the Riven, which if he was able to side lane, then they don't have to snowball quite as hard as they want. But since he can't side lane, they actually have to snowball really hard. So that's why they kind of pigeonholed themselves in the draft. I know I just talked about a lot of stuff that were kind of contradictory, but yeah, the Sylas pick was just not so great. Anyways, cool. So let's talk about FlyQuest comp over here. So I really like the FlyQuest comp. So they immediately locked in Ezreal, Zoe, because they had a clear idea as soon as they saw the Sylas. They're like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to pick a poke style disengage comp with a side laner that's just going to destroy the Sylas. That's immediately when they saw the Sylas, because this is when I've been talking a lot about Sylas, but Sylas is a very figured out pick in Korea. Like at the beginning of this week, Sylas was a blue side insta-lock every time for the first couple of series, and then people stopped insta-locking him, and then they were like, oh, let's lock him in on red side, first pick. And so what teams started to do is they would let that happen, and they would pick basically this comp, right? They would pick a really good four-man group, right? Or a poke style comp with a solo laner that's just going to destroy the Sylas. So a Fiora, a Jace, and in Viper's case, he can play the Riven. So this is a very figured out pick in the top lane. So that's why I didn't like it as a first pick, because it's obviously going to Ssumday. But anyways, just looking at FlyQuest team comp. So they have obviously the Ezreal and the Braum. They're actually going to lose out in terms of priority in this lane and don't have a lot of kill threat, just basically because of Tahm, Kench. They don't have a lot of kill threat in the bottom lane. They have the Sejuani, which is a scaling jungler, so not going to be able to make plays until around the level 6. They do have the double passive with Tahm, Kench, or not Tahm, Kench, but with Sejuani and Braum, and can work really well with the Riven. So, a melee fighting champion with the Sejuani always works really well. So Sejuani and Riven can look to make plays together. So can look for that. And then we also have the Zoe. So the Zoe having the artillery cannon champion. So what they want to do with this comp is kind of get out of the early game. They might have to seed a couple Drakes, but basically want to get out of the early game, set up their Riven to have a lot of success in the side lane. So mitigate risk in the early game. Set up the Riven for success. So the Sejuani might want to split the map around top side. So get a lot of vision around top side. Maybe try to get a Rift Herald if she can. Something that's really good to do in this patch. You literally just get Rift Herald as soon as you can if you know you have the vision control and you know that you can do it. Like if you know where the enemy jungler is, you get the Rift Herald as early as you can. You just use it for plates to get the insta 320 gold for your split pusher. So they can look to just get their split pusher ahead. And then as soon as laning phase is over, they literally just send their 4-man group around mid, try to get vision inside the enemy jungler. They can look for picks with the Zoe, Ezreal, Sejuani, Braum, and also can siege really well on the mid tower. Rotate the Zoe over to collect the side wave while the Riven just pushes down and they protect vision around the quadrant that wherever Riven is in. So the later this game goes, FlyQuest has a lot more options, and the Riven just wins that side lane, pushes in, wraps around for a flank that FlyQuest is so good at doing. So anyways, let's just see how this game goes out. Obviously, I've already seen it, and if you're watching this, you've probably already seen it. But I don't remember exactly how this game ends up panning out. I mean, I obviously know who wins, but I did watch this like 12 hours ago or whatever. Cool. Cool. So something I always like to talk about at the beginning is the jungle pathing. So I talk about jungle pathing a lot, so we'll talk about jungle pathing here. Hope all the stuff I said at the beginning made a lot of sense. I kind of rambled a little bit, but I hope it made a lot of sense. Okay, so we do have vision of the Sejuani starting her camp, so they do know Sejuani starting red. Okay, yeah, she is getting a leash. Okay. For a second, she wasn't getting a leash. I was like, oof, that's going to be rough. Alright, so Sejuani's just doing a full core top side, most likely. And Jarvan's pathing towards top side. Jarvan's pathing towards top side just to deny the scuttle, most likely. Could have looked for some vertical jungling options, but this is fine too. Sejuani will get her full clear. Oh, it's so he can double scuttle. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so he denies top scuttle and then he can go immediately down because he knew the Sejuani started top side. Yeah, so double scuttles. And he knows his bot lane has priority. Yep. Feels bad playing Sejuani. Really chunks JayJ there. So that's actually, like, it looks like Ondo wasted some time, but he really didn't. I mean, he got a camp and he chunked JayJ. That was actually not that great for JayJ, but got all of his health back. I guess he did use 2 pots. Yeah, so he already used 2 pots. No, J4 is just going to clear his bottom side, maybe. Nothing too interesting to talk about jungle pathing. Sejuani just recalled. Gonna take the Gromp and then do the rubber band camps on the top side. So that's like the most XP efficient way to do it, right? You clear your Krugs early so that you can clear your Krugs again to get the XP bonus from them respawning. Because Sejuani really wants level 6 before she can do anything, or J4 is just going to smack you around until you're level 6, really. But this game is generally going out about how it's supposed to. Yep. Yeah, so what 100 Thieves wants is they just want, like, as far as the counter jungling stuff is going on, they just want to be able to maintain that as a 1v1 if they can. So Jarvan's going to win out in those 1v1s every time. So if the lane's in a neutral state, that's fine. Yeah, so Jarvan's up about 2 camps and they're all scuttle crabs. Like he's gotten every single scuttle crab, so that's pretty good for him. Sejuani's just going to full query bot side, and she might be level 6 off of her full query. Jarvan's level 6 already. Alright, so now we can look for Jarvan to try to make some plays, or just get Mountain. So you see what 100 Thieves has done. So as I said, they're going to have Prio bottom. They're going to have Prio bottom, like the whole game. So they went ahead and already put a pink right here and a pink right here. And they already see Zoe backing, so they might just do Dragon. There's no chance of Sejuani doing anything here. Yeah, so they put a pink in the bush, a pink, yeah, so they pinked the entire river. And then no Sejuani can't come in and seal, and Zoe was recalling, so this is just a free mountain. And so they can look to just continue maintaining vision control around bot side. So they can just look to maintain vision control around bot side and get the next mountain if they want to. And then actually, they just want to keep their bot lane safe to keep getting these plates. Keep getting these plates, and then they can actually lane swap their bot lane to top side. Hopefully they can get some vision around Rift Herald and try to deny that from FlyQuest, because on the flip side, if FlyQuest can get the Rift Herald and get that boost for Riven after she has her CDR items, and then get her that extra gold from the Rift Herald charge, she'll be such a monster in the side lane. So 100 Thieves don't actually need to get Rift Herald right now. They can get it when they do the lane swap. They can actually just look to continue to pressure and then get it on the lane swap. But it would be a big bonus for FlyQuest to actually get it for their side laner. But Riven's not too strong right now. She has her Caulfield's Warhammer, and she actually went for the Grievous Wounds. I think, dude, I always forget what that's. Oh, I'm trying to hover over it to say. The 800 gold sword item. Jesus Christ, I don't remember it. I don't remember what it's called for whatever reason right now. But that's actually really good into the Sylas lane. So you just deny his healing. So you just completely cuck that. Seeing a lot of Urgots do that lately in the Urgot matchup, because basically, yeah, they just want to reestablish vision control around bot side. They just want to maintain vision control around bot side because they want that next mountain. The next mountain is going to be juicy for their team because they just want to snowball their lead. Oh, hold on. You see a lot of Urgots do that? Because Sylas actually has... I mean, I think it's a positive matchup in Urgot. Because basically what happens is Urgot gets you low. Urgot gets you low, tries to execute you, but then Sylas is just going to heal all of his health back. And you can't execute him. But if you just build the Grievous Wounds item, then you just build the Grievous Wounds item, then you actually just win that matchup. So now the Urgot matchup, which was seen, Sylas was seen as a counter pick into the Urgot matchup, the Urgot actually has a really positive matchup into it now. Yeah, so they're going to look for, just based off of just buying, Jesus, why can't I remember that? Remember the name of that item. It's the item that builds in the Lord's Dominic's regards. Jesus Christ. Why does that happen? Why do you just forget names of things? Yep. Yeah, so FlyQuest is doing an early rotation to try to deny the Rift Herald, right? This is a good move by them to early rotate. So they just TP'd their Ezreal top. So they're not actually going to be able to get that gold for Viper, which would be really good. But they're going to get the gold for WildTurtle and also deny the Rift Herald for 100 Thieves. Because if 100 Thieves rotated their bottom lane up there, got the Rift Herald, like this would be a perfect game. They would instantly get that tower up top and it would be nasty. So yeah. So now they just want to do the same thing they were already doing, but do it topside. So J4 just wants to get vision control around topside and split the map up there. Now it's going to be a little bit more difficult because whenever the Sylas pushes up, he's not going to be pushing... Executioner's Calling! Jesus Christ! Executioner's Calling! Oh my god, why can't I remember the name of that item? Yeah, so look, J4 is just going to do this around topside. They don't necessarily have to actually teamfight, they just want to get these objectives and mitigate the actual team fights. What's tough for Sylas is there's not a tower that the minions are going to deny into. Now Huhi's just roaming around the map. This is a really good roam. This is the power of Aurelion Sol. Yeah, this is really good. I guess Ashe and Tahm Kench are recalling. Huh. Wait, why are they going mid? Oh, I guess they're just looking for a play. Oh, I guess they can break mid tower. Okay. Huh. I feel like the current lane assignments were fine. I think they can extend the laning phase. Maybe without a tower they feel really unsafe. But having Aurelion Sol mid, I think, is still fine right now. I think they really want that top tower. What's tough for 100 Thieves now is that their comp really didn't snowball hard enough to deny what FlyQuest comps wants to do. Because now Viper is really powerful in the side lane. And then once he finishes his Black Cleaver, he'll be at 45% CDR. So that's going to be really tough for them. Or 40%. He doesn't have the 5% thing. Okay, he has completed it. Yeah, okay, so they rotated their bottom lane mid because Inferno Drake was spawning. That's my bad. Currently, FlyQuest has the vision on the pit, but 100 Thieves has it around. Actually, FlyQuest doesn't have... Nobody has vision directly on the pit, but 100 Thieves actually has control around it. But this kind of like looking at each other dance definitely benefits Fly's comp, because they can actually poke you down. So the longer this dance lasts, the more it benefits Fly's comp. And 100 Thieves team comp and the direct 5v5 at this stage in the game feels kind of weird. Fly's comp is definitely easier to execute in terms of how the team fight will actually go down. Viper having 40% CDR is really huge, because he can actually probably already 1v2 the backline. Yep. Yep, well, that was a good setup by 100 Thieves in terms of vision control. So FlyQuest actually didn't have control of the vision there, so they ended up just giving it to them. Whatever, I guess. Good for 100 Thieves. FlyQuest can keep just playing to their side lane win condition though. So they just want to keep their Ezreal Braum mid, have their Sejuani start getting control around the Baron pit. So that's the next place to control. So start getting control around the Baron pit. Have their Ezreal and Braum mid. Have their Riven in a side lane, like hard pushing, right? And just Zoe collecting a side wave and then rotating up with the jungler and the Braum and looking for a pick in the enemy jungle. Not deep into the enemy jungle, but you know what I mean. But they don't necessarily need to look for plays as the 4-man right here. They actually don't have to look for plays, but if they get them, cool. But this 4-man is actually super safe. And the longer this game goes on, the better it will be for Riven in the side lane, because she's going to build a death stance. She's going to... and Ssumday will have a 0% chance of winning that fight. So Zoe's just going to walk back up and collect that side wave. So 100 Thieves are in a little bit of a tough spot. So I always talk about the team that's... I always talk from the team that's in the driver's seat of the game. And obviously 100 Thieves have the advantages in terms of Drakes and have a slight gold lead. But really, the team that's in the driver's seat is actually FlyQuest, because they don't actually need to do anything in order to win the game. The things that they need to do in order to win the game are much simpler and easier to see. Like, they don't have to do anything creative, meaning that they keep their 3-man mid, right? They move their Zoe over to collect the side wave, rotate back over mid, throw their shit out, siege on the mid tower, play at a distance. Riven collects farm, she gets her death stance, she 1v9s the game. Like, they actually have a really good split push win condition, as well as if a team fight does break out in this mid portion, you gotta... it's hard to say which team you even favor in terms of the team fight. So something that's really great right there is 100 Thieves actually getting that mid tower. So mid tower is a big thorn in their side because now they can actually get a little bit of forward vision into these choke points, and they actually have a lot of Baron threat. So it says so they actually have a whole lot of Baron threat with the Ashe and the double mountain. So something that 100 Thieves can do here is they can get mid prio and around FlyQuest back time. You see they're backing right now, so they're going to lose mid prio. But around FlyQuest back timing, they can actually get prio, and then get vision control up here. And they can actually threaten Baron and maybe look for a death brush, or just threaten Baron, or actually just do Baron. They literally have 2 mountains. Might be a little bit early just to rush down Baron, but 2 mountains is actually crazy impactful. So if they can catch them around back timings, they can actually get a lot of vision control up here. Yeah, so that's what they're trying to do. It would be nice to get like vision right there and right there. Yeah. So they have it around the pit. It would be nice to actually get a little bit forward vision. It would be nice to get forward vision because they could actually have a lot of Baron threat. But they want to have a lot of pinks behind them because they're in fear of the Riven flank, honestly. So that is a very real possibility of the Riven flank, but 100 Thieves could set up a lot of Baron threat if they want to. So 100 Thieves do have some options. They burn a flash there. Oh, they just burn Braum flash. That's actually not worth anything. Like Braum flash is kind of whatever. But setting up forward vision right here would be really good. Getting it right, getting vision right there, and getting vision right there. Alright, the Riven's coming down. Looking for a fight right here. Gets a stun on the Bang. Oh yeah, Bang's really useless in this fight. Yeah, when he flashes over the wall, his W hits the Raptors, so it kind of messes him up. Now Fly's going to threaten the Baron. They don't have a whole lot of Baron damage. It's really early in the game. But they do get to finish it. Yeah. So 100 Thieves they have a whole lot of Baron threat. I would really like for them to have vision around these chokes up here. And be threatening Baron rather than just positioning in the mid lane how they are. I don't think they actually just need to position in the mid lane and play ARM. They actually have so much Baron threat. They could, and if they can get vision control around up in these chokes, they could actually just rush it down if they can catch the enemy on a back timing. But they don't do that, so now FlyQuest can set up their 4-1. Kind of caught in a weird position. So Riven has to come in and TP flank. But Viper not having flash in this fight was really impactful. Not really able to do much. I feel like FlyQuest probably should have just peeled back off of that and then just re-got the Baron minions, and they probably could have got a lot more off of their Baron buff. Just based off of Viper not having flash there, made it really hard for him to do anything. Onda played that fight pretty well because he just ulted the Riven and then flag and dragged out, but so neutralizing her. But Riven not having flash in that fight just made their team fight a lot worse. Also think Santorin whiffed his ult, so probably could have got a lot more out of that if they just peeled back and then just regained the wave, because their Baron buff is actually real. They actually only get 1 tower off this Baron buff. Alright, but now the Riven has the Death Dance, so they can just reset up their 4-1, and Riven actually wins 2v1s in the side lane now. So, feels bad, man. This is really good. Not what they did, but I don't know why they rotated their entire team down there. They had what I was saying was really good is they got the pinks all in this whole quadrant, because there's no objective on the board. So they were just trying to push their lead, which is great. Like, I think they should be pushing their lead. So getting these pinks down here was great. So they actually had a lot of vision denial. of the actual choke points. So I think the group should have been shoving down here, and maybe the Braum and maybe the Braum and like Zoe rotate over, right? Because they know that they're going to get collapsed on. And if all 5 of these guys rotate down here to answer a Riven, then you take their mid inhibitor. So that was kind of weird that it was just like A-ramming down bottom. That was kind of weird. Because they actually had a minion wave pushed in. They actually had a minion wave pushed in to where the inner tower was, right? And they had 4 people there. So it seemed better to maybe just rotate 2 members over and just have like your Ezreal Braum or somebody still shoving this in. People who can actually get away on their own. Riven has a lot of maneuverability on her own, so if they send 5-man to collapse on the Riven, and you just shoot a Sejuani over the wall, like literally that's actually enough for Riven to get out. If that ends what's happening and they send 5 down there, you literally take their base. So, but 100 Thieves only sent 5 down there because FlyQuest literally sent 5 down there. So that was weird. I think Riven can actually 1v2, so it benefits FlyQuest a lot if they send 2 for Riven. Now Riven has a GA. Oof. Yep. And that's just going to be a fight over vision control around Baron. So I would really like to see Viper in a side lane right now. This A-ramming's kind of weird. Would really like to see Viper in a side lane. So he doesn't actually have TP. And there's a lot of Baron threat on 100 Thieves comp. So and they have 2 mountains. So would like to see Riven just pushing in the top side. Would probably be the call right now. Pushing in the top side, and just look for river control. You can't actually get control of this quadrant. Just look for like river and choke control. Because as FlyQuest, you actually can't rotate down to this mountain ever. Like you can't ever rotate down to this mountain because 100 Thieves has 2 mountains. So if you go down to the mountain, the 100 Thieves will just trade the side of the map. So you can't actually ever go down there. So this is good positioning by 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves should just be positioning on this side of the map, honestly, the whole time. I mean, they have to push up the wave to get mid-prio, but also at the same time, like, FlyQuest can't just push into your base because you'll take Baron if you're positioned up here. So, pretty interesting. I do really think the Riven should be sidelining because you have so much disengage with the 4-man group. But I think FlyQuest is just so concerned about the 100 Thieves lineup just like catching somebody with an Ashe ult and killing them all. But I think you just don't get caught, and the Riven wins you the game. So I really don't like how FlyQuest is actually playing right now. Yeah, they're backing for wards because they don't have wards. Their wards expired, so they actually have to back for wards. They give up the Mountain Drake. So 100 Thieves have a triple mountain, which isn't really much different from a double mountain, honestly. And they're not in the lead anyways, so the double mountain and triple mountain is not going to be a big difference because they were already, like, the double mountain was already providing enough Baron threat that they actually needed. So it doesn't provide a big difference, but it is a denial. Is a denial for FlyQuest. Yep, and they just get a catch. This is a classic NAA ramp. Yep. And this is Riven in the late game. This is Viper. Yeah. That's what this comp does in the late game. FlyQuest could have won this game in so many other different ways. 100 Thieves, they definitely could have won this game. They had a snowball comp, which is a little bit harder to execute, but I actually like their comp. Like, right? This meta is actually a snowball meta. Like the meta that we're actually in is a snowball meta. It's just a little bit harder to execute. So things 100 Thieves could have done differently in this game. It's hard to tell, right? They did a lot of things really good. So the early control around Drake was really great, and that Mountain Drake was awesome. So like it being a Mountain Drake actually helped them a lot. So the early control around Drake was great. So getting the Drake, and then getting the second Drake, and then rotating their bot side top was really great. Getting the Rift Herald would have been bad, or would have been really good. Their team comp required Baron in order to end the game, based off of their lead, unless they just got greater advantages in lane, but they didn't. So based off of them not snowballing like hard enough in order to just like we take bottom, we get Rift Herald, we take top. They didn't get Rift Herald, which they didn't necessarily have to get Rift Herald, and I thought FlyQuest was going to get it anyways, just because they got the earlier rotation top, and they were trying to maintain control over bottom side. And FlyQuest just did a good job of early rotating top and denying Rift Herald because they knew that 100 Thieves was going to lane swap. If 100 Thieves was playing against a worse team, they wouldn't have lane swapped fast enough to deny that. So that was just a really good like heads up play by FlyQuest, honestly. That was just a denial by FlyQuest. But definitely things 100 Thieves could have done differently. Later in the game, it's having a little bit more forward positioning based off of them having two mountains. So having like more forward vision around the Baron, I think would have been better for them and actually threatening, actually just pulling the trigger because they were getting outscaled. Like that game was on a timer at 20 minutes for them. Like at 20 minutes, they were already losing that game, and it required Baron in order for them to win. And they already had two mountains and an Ashe, so if they had more forward vision into the choke points of the enemies of FlyQuest red side jungle, and actually provided more Baron threat and just basically just pulled the trigger on it on some back timings, I think they actually could have won this game pretty handedly. If their comp got Baron buff, their siege isn't bad. A FlyQuest counter siege is pretty good, but a Baron buff is a powerful thing at 25 minutes in the game. So there was like a window at like 25 minutes where they really could have positioned themselves really well to get Baron. But 100 Thieves needed the game to blow open a little bit better than it actually did. But they just didn't react very well to FlyQuest actually reacting to the things 100 Thieves was doing really well. So this wasn't like a classic NA Fiesta, like wait and win the game type of thing. FlyQuest actually did a lot of things really well in the game to react to 100 Thieves snowball style. So this wasn't like the classic like Golden Guardians like, TSM throws a bunch of fights, and then we have 3 scaling lanes. Like it really wasn't like that. Like FlyQuest actually made a lot of because I criticized Golden Guardians a lot for the way they won the game the other day, but because they didn't do anything. Like, but FlyQuest today actually made a lot of really good decisions in the game. They also did some things poorly, like how they played around Viper. Honestly, there's a lot of things they could have done in the side lane. That was a lot that could have been way cleaner. Like they really could have just won through Riven, like so much easier. Like this game was set up so like for so much more success for the for Riven to just actually 1v9 the game. But it ended up working out anyways because their team fight was just better. But could have been a cleaner closeout. But anyways, that's gonna be it for this VOD review. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I enjoyed making it. But anyways, that's gonna be it. I say anyways way too much. Alright, bye-bye. Find the record button. I found it. I found the stop record button. Okay, I found it. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.